We're going to talk about the... Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'm your host, Cody, and today we're going to talk about the Poly Casino 400 and the Weather Delayed Production Alliance Group 300 Xfinity Series race. So let's get into it. This weekend, Southern California had some of the craziest weather they've ever had. Mike Joy said it on the broadcast that the Fontana area had their first ever blizzard warning this weekend. There are some pretty crazy pictures from Twitter out there. Black Flags Matter tweeted out a picture, and there was snow everywhere. There was Xfinity Series guys stuck in between Vegas and California because for some reason they flew into Vegas instead of flying into California. But anyway, so since everything was rained out, snowed out, blizzarded out for the weekend, that meant Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Christopher Bell were starting on the front row based on the metric, which is points, fastest lap from the last race, finishing position from the last race, all that good stuff. Ricky quickly fell back from starting on the front row. I mean, like middle of the backstretch, he was going backwards. He fell back to 11th. He stabilized there. He had a decent run all day, but he was, top 15, top 10 car. Alex Bowman, the racetrack killer, he quickly took the lead from Christopher Bell on the front stretch, basically coming to the second lap. Kyle Larson slowed on the track. He thought it was blowing up to start with, and he crept around for a couple of laps. He came down pit road. That was lap 13. He had those issues. Bowman got out to a decent lead before the lap 15 caution. He had a couple second lead on second place. Ross Chastain took the lead off of pit road during the competition caution. The Hendrick crews continued working on the 5 car under this caution. They had the hood up on pit road. Christopher Bell had issues on pit road under the caution for the competition caution. He lost 11 spots on pit road. Not a very good day for the 20 crew. Kyle Larson and the Hendrick number 5 car go behind the wall. Since he wasn't actually involved in a crash, he can go behind the wall and fix the issues they had. They said it was an electrical issue, but they changed all kinds of stuff under the hood of that car. There were 3 wide battles, 4 wide battles all day long. Busch, Blaney, and Bowman battled 3 wide for third. Christopher Bell moves up the track a little bit at one point and puts Noah Gragson in the wall. He wasn't clear. We see this multiple times all weekend long. Well, all Sunday long, because there was nothing else on track except for Sunday. Lap 33, Blaney actually takes the lead from Ross Chastain. Ross falls back to third behind Joey Logano. Bubba runs fourth. Bowman is fifth. Kyle Larson comes back out. He's 15 laps down at this point, 15 or 16 laps down at this point. He's pretty much on pace after that, so whatever issue they had, they got it fixed. Lap 42, we have the first on-track incident of the day. Brad Keselowski gets spun out of 13th after contact from Corey LaJoie. Corey got tight underneath Brad, pushed up the track, caught Brad, barely touched him in the left rear and spun Brad out, coming out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. Kyle Busch is too fast on pit road. Austin Dillon pits multiple times under the caution. There's issues with the wrap due to the sandblasting the cars are taking. If you watch the original start of the race, it looked like they had put Speedy Dry down all over the backstretch. I mean, there was just dust everywhere. So after the lap 42 incident with Brad, like the green flag, Trackhouse is actually running 1-2 after the caution. Blaney ends up getting by Suarez for second with 4 to go in the stage, but he cannot run down Ross Chastain for the stage win. In the stages, in stage 1, you get 10 points for finishing first, and it goes down to 1 for the top 10. If you win the stage, you also get a playoff point, which you get to carry into the playoffs. So the top 10 for stage 1, Ross Chastain, 10 points. Ryan Blaney, 9 points. Suarez, 8 points. Bowman, 7 points. Hamlin, 6 points. Byron, 5 points. Logano, 4 points. Harvick, 3 points. Truex, 2 points. And Elliott got 1 point for finishing in 10th. A minute ago, I talked about the sandblasting the cars are taking, how much dust was on the track to start the race. These cars look like they've been through a 24-hour of Daytona or 24-hour Le Mans or 12 hours of Sebring race at the end of stage 1. I mean, they took an absolute beating. So under the stage 1 caution, Ryan Blaney actually gets an air hose caught. The front tire changer gets the air hose caught under the car. He loses all kinds of position. Daniel Suarez is too fast entering pit road, so he has to go to the back. Ross Chastain actually holds on to the lead through this round pit stops. So we have a restart at lap 72. Denny takes the lead. Kyle Busch is back up to third after having his speeding penalty earlier in the day. Lap or two later, Joey Logano takes the lead from Denny Hamlin. I mean, we had some pretty good battles up front all day. You know, we had some three wide racing for the lead. We had different leaders throughout the race. AJ gets turned and hits the inside wall, pancakes it, driver's side door, hits it pretty hard. The Fox Sports booth was not very entertained.
AJ Allmendinger. Ooh, into the wall, hard.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
The caution that came with this, Brad Keselowski ends up being the free pass car, so he gets his lap back. Pit lane was an interesting place all day long. Under this caution for AJ's incident, Ross and Byron nearly come together on pit road. MTJ has major issues on pit road. Smoke was bellowing from the left front while he was leaving pit road. He almost stops right off the end of pit road, but the team tells him to go around. And about halfway down the back stretch, he ends up losing that wheel and tire assembly, and his crew gets to be the first penalty of the year for NASCAR's revised tire penalties. So if you lose a tire off of pit road now, it is a 2-lap penalty, and there will be suspensions for 2 crew members of NASCAR's choosing. Now, this year, they will only be suspended for the series they lost the tire in. So they will be suspended for 2 races in the Cup Series. If they pit a JGR Xfinity Series car, they can still do that. Noah Gragson, Austin Dillon, and Ryan Preece all stay out on old tires. Noah manages to lead a lap, but they get swallowed up by the new tires pretty fast. Not long after that, Corey LaJoie gets spun by Tyler Reddick coming off of turn 4. LaJoie slides to the infield grass. Austin Dillon and Ryan Preece come down and get tires, but Noah stays out again. Chase Briscoe, he's not had a very good day. He was slow, had car issues from the very start. They come down pit road. They have the hood up. They work on the car. Now, lap 87, we're coming to the green for this caution. Coming to the green flag. NASCAR actually extended the Geico restart zones 25% in each direction. So they're 50% longer, but half at the front, half at the back. Joey Logano is cruising through the restart zone. He doesn't check up. He doesn't go and then stop. He doesn't slow down. He's just cruising and waiting. And the whole field decides they're going to go behind him. And there is a massive pileup. Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, Eric Almirola, Justin Haley, Ryan Preece, Todd Gilliland, Cody Ware, and Ty Dillon were all involved in this. I mean, it was a Daytona, Talladega style big one. It was a massive wreck. Tyler Reddick's first season with 2311 is off to a rough start with an early crash in the Daytona 500 and now an early crash at Fontana. He has 4 points. 4 on the season. There are no issues on the next restart. Everybody minds their P's and Q's. We end up going 4 wide for the lead. Hamlin, Byron, Logano, and Chastain are all battling. Hamlin ends up coming out with the lead through that battle. Kyle Busch is still 5th after his early pit road penalties. He's been lurking around there all day after he got back up there. Noah is still 6th on old tires. He kind of loses some ground, but he ends up, better off than he would have been if he would have came down pit road, and he has an extra set of tires. Now, this is basically the halfway point. Ross Chastain retakes the lead on lap 98 out of 200, so we're almost halfway. Ross has been pretty much the dominant car for the first half of the race so far. We'll see if he can continue that. Christopher Bell, Ryan Preece, Tyler Reddick, Eric Almirola, and AJ Allmendinger are officially out of the race at this point. Kyle Larson is 16 laps down after his early electrical issues. Martin Truex Jr., after losing a tire and having a penalty, he's the only car 1 lap down. With 25 to go in stage 2, Kyle Busch is the fastest car on the track and running down Ross Chastain. Daytona 500 winner Ricky Stenhouse Jr. ends up getting in the wall a little bit. He was just trying to get all he could get, run that real high line, dirt track it like he does, and he just ended up jumping the cushion a little bit and getting in the wall twice. No issues. He didn't bend anything, didn't break anything, so he was okay, just trying to get all he can get. Ross Chastain ends up actually running away from Kyle Busch at the end of stage 2. Busch, Logano, Hamlin, Suarez, and Harvick have a massive battle for second place for a few laps with 5 to go in stage 2. Corey LaJoie is actually running in the top 10 with just a couple of laps to go, trying to get stage points for his Spire Motorsports car. He actually ends up getting passed by Brad Keselowski with 1 or 2 to go in the stage and just misses out on stage points. He finishes 11th in stage 2. Ross wins stage 2 and is actually the first time in his career he has swept the first 2 stages of the race. Stage 2 points. Stage 2 top 10. Ross Chastain, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Daniel Suarez, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski. After his early issues, he ends up getting a point in stage 2. We got pit stops at the end of stage 2. Kevin Harvick wins the race off. Ross Chastain actually has a little bit of a slower pit stop, ends up falling back to 4th. Bubba Wallace is on pit road for quite a while trying to get debris out of the grill of his Toyota. Now, if you watched my last video, my last NASCAR recap video, we talked about Fontana last year, which was the first traditional style race for the next gen cup car, and the Toyotas had issues with overheating because of the grill and the block off plate they chose, and it looks like the 2311 car of Bubba Wallace had that same issue this year. Stage 3 starts with 63 laps to go in the race. Austin Cindric gets turned into the wall. He checked up a little bit to miss Chris Buescher and ends up getting turned into the wall, hits the wall pretty good, has damage. You know, he's slow and off the pace. He stays out, you know, I mean, he doesn't end his day, but he's hurting pretty good after that one. Ty Dillon is slow on the apron. His car looks okay. He was involved in that big one earlier. He just kind of spun out through the grass. But he's slow on the apron and he can't actually make it back around to pit road, so he brings out a caution. We'll insert this meme this week from Larry McReynolds. Clint Boyer gave us some gamesman shit, if you will, last week. Larry gives us smoke 'em if you got 'em this week.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Another round of pit stops come with 58 to go in the final stage. They pitted less than 10 laps ago. That's how much tires matter on this old worn out surface, on the last race for this old worn out surface. Busch wins the race off of pit road. Kevin Harvick comes out 2nd. Suarez comes out 3rd. Ross Chastain comes out 4th again. We get another restart with 55 to go, and Ross Chastain throws a massive block on Joey Logano. Reminded me a lot of Joey throwing a block on Tony Stewart a few years ago. It's been a while ago now. Doesn't work. Joey still gets around him going into turn 1. They battle through turn 1 and 2, and Ross actually ends up getting back in front of Joey. So the block kind of did work. Didn't work to stop him from getting around him, but he made it work, you know, getting through 1 and 2. Kyle Busch gets a massive run on 3 cars running, you know, side by side, and sends it to the bottom 4 wide and gets by all 3 in 1 pass. I don't know what happened to Kevin Harvick, but he fell back like a lead balloon to 14th after restarting in the top 5. Joey and Daniel Suarez, Joey Logano and Daniel Suarez battling door to door, side drafting each other. It looked like they were going to come together down the backstretch, man. I mean, they were bobbing and weaving, trying to side draft each other. Kyle Busch is on Ross Chastain's bumper for a bunch of laps. He's actually on the radio complaining about the aero package to NASCAR, saying he hopes they like what it is because he's stuck and can't get around him because of the aero package. Now we're down to 34 laps to go, and Joey Logano comes down pit road first to kick off the green flag pit cycle. Now, with tires mattering as much as they do, you can't stay out long if somebody comes down pit road. So Joey forces their hand to kick off the green flag pit cycle. Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain battle onto pit road. I mean, they are side by side battling to get to the pit speed line. Bubba Wallace actually ends up coming down pit road. They raise the hood, and there is just smoke and steam pouring out of the engine bay. Overheating is the issue, and he actually ends up getting out of the car, and his day is done. Michael McDowell stays out. He's the last car to pit. He waits and waits and waits and waits. Kyle Busch gets the lead from Ross Chastain through the pit stops, but Fox fails to show what actually happens. Like, you see them coming on the pit road side by side. They leave pit road basically side by side, and then the next time you see them, Kyle Busch is like half a backstretch in front of Ross Chastain. What happened, Fox? Like, what caused that giant ass gap when they came off of pit road real close together? Chase Elliott actually runs down Ross Chastain to battle for second. What will be second after McDowell pits, because he's still out on the racetrack. Chase goes to make a move under Ross Chastain, and as he goes under Ross and a lap car, Fox cuts away from that 3-wide shot to show us Kyle Busch going by Michael McDowell with old tires, who's slow anyway. You know Kyle's going to get around him, no problem. And Clint Boyer even goes, what? In the middle of it. And it's like, what are you doing, Fox? Great job. Kyle has almost a full 2-second lead over the battle for second as he gets by Michael McDowell. What I was just telling you, they cut away from Chase passing Ross to cut to Kyle passing a slow, older, tired Michael McDowell. Denny Hamlin gets into the wall a little bit while racing Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski. Brad gets into the wall pretty hard with 5 to go, and Kyle Busch and Randall Burnett are biting their fingernails because it looks like it could bring a caution out, because Brad got into the wall pretty good. He doesn't actually end up bringing a caution out. Kyle Busch wins in his second official point start for RCR. It's his 61st race win. He breaks his tie with Richard Petty for most consecutive seasons with a win. He now has 19 consecutive seasons with a win. He wins the last race at Auto Club Speedway in this configuration. It was his first win in 28 races since he won the Bristol Dirt Race last year, and it's actually his first pavement win since Pocono in 2022. It's something like 58 races, I think. So the top few cars here: Busch, Elliott, Chastain, Suarez. Harvick finishes 5th in his 750th consecutive race and his final start at his home track. Hamlin, Keselowski, Bowman, Austin Dillon, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chris Buescher, and Corey LaJoie, who was actually a consistent top 15 car all day long. He had a really good run. Chase Briscoe actually ended up finishing P20, even though he struggled for most of the day with issues. I'm going to put a bunch of pictures on the screen right here of how sandblasted and destroyed the front of these cars were after this race. It is absolutely insane. I mean, like, splitter, chewed down into the carbon fiber. It was wild, man. All right. So here's the points. Ross Chastain, points leader with 92 points. Joe Logano in second, 91 points. And now on to the Production Alliance Group 300. Austin Hill and John Hunter Nemechek started on the front row because of the metric, like we talked about earlier. Tyler Reddick, his terrible start to this season continues in the Xfinity Series. He gets put in the wall on lap 1, literally coming out of turn 2 on lap 1 by Sam Mayer. I don't know if Sam got tight or loose or just thought he was clear, but he moved up and doored Tyler Reddick, which seems to be a theme of the evening for Junior Motorsports cars. They get a competition caution on lap 15. So the top 5 cars stay out on old tires. Austin Hill is the first car with new tires. Takes the lead pretty quickly. That is until Cole Custer comes up and beautifully side drafts Austin Hill. Greg Galding pounds the outside wall late in stage one and absolutely destroys his car. Cole Custer holds on through the late caution to win stage one by a second and a half over Austin Hill. John Hunter Nemechek finishes ninth and gets stage points after he stayed out on old tires. He was the only car on old tires who actually got any stage points at all. Sheldon Creed has a monstrous save on the backstretch, and the Xfinity Series booth was actually excited about it. It was one of the best calls. I mean, it was one of the best calls I've heard. It was Adam Alexander, Ryan Blaney, and Joe Logano in the booth. They did a great job. What caused that whole thing was Josh Berry had a run on Sheldon Creed and went to go to the inside, and Creed threw a massive block on him and basically just got turned off of the nose of Josh Berry. And it was a massive save, absolutely massive. Justin Allgaier has a vibration and has to come down for an unscheduled pit stop. But a few laps later, Josh Berry gets into the wall and brings out a caution with 8 to go in stage 2 that actually ends up giving Justin Allgaier the lucky dog, even though, he had his issues. He was the first car 1 lap down. Allgaier actually manages to get stage points after the unscheduled pit stop and getting the lucky dog thanks to his teammate Josh Berry's issue. John Hunter Nemechek has issues on pit road, ends up losing a bunch of spots after coming onto pit road in second place. Brandon Jones isn't clear coming off of turn 3 and 4, coming out of turn 4, moves up and makes contact with Tyler Reddick coming on the front stretch. Second time tonight that Tyler Reddick's been doored by a Junior Motorsports car, but Brandon Jones actually gets the worst part of this. He gets spun into the infield grass. Splitter digs in and destroys the right front of his car. A little bit later in the race, 60 to go, we get a restart. Cole Custer actually has a tire go down going into turn 1. He gets up, gets into the wall. Austin Dillon gets into him. It destroys the left rear of Cole Custer's car and destroys the right front of Austin Dillon's car. All right, Josh Berry isn't clear coming off of turn 4 onto the straightaway, onto the front stretch, and he gets into Tyler Reddick. Imagine that. So he's not clear. He moves up. He doors and walls Tyler Reddick, and Tyler Reddick comes back down the track and tries to get to Josh Berry. There's smoke just billowing out of both sides of Tyler Reddick's car. He's just not had a good season or a good night. 51 to go. Sammy Smith and John Hunter Nemechek are battling for the lead. You would not think these two were teammates as hard as they were fighting each other. Austin Dillon, even though he's got the right front ripped off the car, he runs along through the green flag cycle of pit stops, and he actually gets the caution he needs with 23 to go. We get the restart with 18 to go. Sammy Smith gets spun by Austin Hill on the restart. 12 to go. Allgaier and John Hunter Nemechek are battling for the lead. John Hunter Nemechek gets the lead. Sam Mayer gets second, but he can't catch John Hunter Nemechek, even though John Hunter's car was pushing water out on the last couple of laps. Xfinity Series points. We'll only do like the top 15 for these guys. Austin Hill is leading the points. He's locked into the playoffs. 98 points for him. John Hunter Nemechek is second and locked into the playoffs. Justin Allgaier's third. Chandler Smith for Colleague Racing is fourth. Riley Herbst is fifth. Cole Custer's sixth. Sam Mayer is seventh. Joe Graff Jr. is actually eighth. Josh Berry's ninth. Ryan Sieg is 10th. Parker Clearman is 11th. Parker Ritzoff is 12th. Jeb Burton's 13th. Brett Moffitt is 14th. Sammy Smith is 15th. And Josh Williams is actually 16th. And Jeremy Clements is 17th. There was no Truck Series race this weekend at Fontana. That's probably a good thing because there wouldn't have been time to do it. They will join us next week when we head to Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas!
The spring race at Las Vegas last year, it had a pretty wild finish between teammates battling. It had an overtime finish between teammates battling for the win. It was a pretty eventful race, actually. Cole Custer spun early. He spun by himself. Kyle Busch drifted through turn one, trying to miss Austin Dillon and Justin Haley, who were having issues. Tyler Reddick spun coming off of turn 4 by himself and actually went through the infield and jumped the car through the infield. Bowman ends up winning in a pretty eventful stage 1. Kyle Busch got mad at Chase Briscoe and showed his displeasure under the stage 1 caution. Don't really know why he was mad, but he chased him down through turn 1 and 2 when the caution came out. Chase Briscoe actually brings out a caution. He tried to avoid running into the back of Michael McDowell. He got loose checking up behind Michael McDowell, gets sideways, slides off of turn 4, catches Suarez, and sends Suarez into the front stretch wall, ending Suarez's day with a pretty big hit. Brad Keselowski ends up spinning coming off of turn 4, and Ryan Blaney basically has nowhere to go and just pile drives the side of Brad and ends Ryan Blaney's day. Larson, while battling for position, Larson gets big time loose and almost gets in the wall. Cindric gets spun by Eric Almirola, but Chase Briscoe spins in front of them by himself at the same time. So it was almost like there was oil or grease on the track or something. Rear end grease, I mean. Christopher Bell loses it in front of the whole field. Harrison Burton spins out trying to miss Christopher Bell. Ross Chastain actually won stage 2 in this race for Trackhouse's first ever stage win. Denny Hamlin broke his transmission by trying to H pattern into 3 and hitting up with the sequentials. Up is actually a downshift. So he broke the car with that. Eric Jones wrecks basically down the whole front straightaway and comes back up the track right into the path of Bubba Wallace, who barely misses him. But Bubba spins to the inside and hits the tire barrier, and he actually almost hits the pace car. The race goes to overtime because of the Bubba Wallace, Eric Jones issue. Larson and Bowman battle side by side for basically the entirety of the green-white checkered, and Bowman pulls ahead coming off of turn 4 to get his 7th career win and his last win. Actually, he hasn't won since then. But yeah, that's it for the preview for Las Vegas. It will be Cup Series. It will be Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Truck Series in Las Vegas. All 3. Kyle Busch is going for the sweep in his hometown. He's running Truck Series, Xfinity Series, for, Truck Series for himself, Colleague for Xfinity, and RCR for the Cup Series. So we'll see if he can pull off the sweep. He's the only one to ever sweep a weekend, and he's only done it at Bristol. So we'll see if he can pull it off at Las Vegas. I'll put Bob's tweet here that shows all the times for all that. It's not supposed to rain in Vegas, so maybe we won't see a blizzard this time around. You never know. But that's it for this time, guys. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, share it, do all the YouTube stuff. I'd really appreciate it. I work hard on these videos. I try. But I appreciate it. If y'all liked it, hit the like button. You can follow me on any of the social medias linked down below at the Linktree app. But yeah, that'll do it for this edition of NASCAR Recap Preview Show here on the Cody Hat channel. Y'all have a good one. Peace. Peace. We're going to talk about the Is this what we're doing today? Huh? Is this what we're doing? All right. Good Lord. Shit. Later. And this is why I keep the door closed when I'm recording videos like these. It rained, snowed, blizzarded. Spring race at Las.
Now smoke them if you got them.